I'm here in a basement slash garage area, and this is where I've decided that I'm going to be installing my machine rack. I did have some bookshelves that were over here. I've removed those. Yes, my hands are covered in sawdust, and you'll see why in a moment. But so I've removed those just so that I have enough room to put my machine rack in place. And so this is where it's going to be installed. Now, in order to install it here, I need to have some pieces in which to put the screws. And so that's what I have these 4x4s for. So I'm going to be anchoring these in a stud, and then the machine rack itself, the bolts that hold it in place, are going to be actually installed in this. So I'm about to get started with securing these in place. Now I have those 4x4s positioned, but they're not secured yet. So right now they're just being held in place with 1 or 2 screws, just so I can make sure that the positioning is right. Now, as far as the positioning goes, to know that it's lined up, the rack itself actually came with this piece of cardboard that has marked off where the bolts that secure it are going to go. So this is more or less lined up. Now I'm going to go get some more appropriate fasteners and get this secured in place so that it won't go anywhere. Okay, I've got my level pulled out, so I think this is level enough. You can see that I have the wall mounting template in place, and it's held in place with a couple of screws. One is up towards the center so that I could rock this back left and right until I got it level, and then I just stuck another one in that corner so that it would not turn anymore. And yes, this is the level that I'm using. They call this self-leveling, but really it's just reacting to gravity. But now that I have this in place, I'm going to get to putting the bolts in place on which I'm going to be hanging the rack, and then I can remove my template. This is one of the bolts that's going to be holding the rack in place. So the way this works is kind of interesting. Basically, you drill a hole about the same diameter as the bolt, and then you go ahead and put it all the way in up into the washer. Now, when you start to tighten that bolt, what ends up happening is it pulls the other end closer, and as it's coming closer, it causes this metal to spread out, and that's going to end up anchoring it into the wood. Now, when I'm drilling this hole, I don't want the hole to go all the way through, so I only want it to go, let's see, did I get this right? Yes, I did. So that's about as far as I want it to go, and I put the piece of tape on here so that visually, as I'm drilling, I have some indication on whether or not I've achieved the depth that I'm looking for. I've now got the rack in place, and to make it easier to put in place, I did go ahead and remove all of the panels that were on it. So it actually isn't as heavy as I thought it would be, and it's pretty easy to lift up here and put it in place. You can see with the area where the bolts go through, they actually give you plenty of forgiveness, so if you don't get everything quite perfect, things still might work out for you. When I was putting this on, I used a 14mm socket. I had to use a deep socket because if I didn't, then I had problems with the bolt preventing me from being able to go further. So yeah, use a 14mm deep socket as you're tightening that. But now that that's in place, I'm going to go ahead and put the panels back on this, and then I'm just going to leave it alone for now until the rest of my network equipment comes. I am already running some wire to start coming down here. Right now I have one network cable coming this way. So in theory, I could go ahead and put a machine within this. But hopefully this helps you out. Yeah, so this is, what is that, TED? Well, I don't know how to pronounce that. But that's the brand for this rack, and this is pretty easy to put together.